Morris,
Yeah.
you touched on sort of, what you admired about Prince, and he was an innovator in so many different ways. And I want to just mention a few things from, while you were there that were very innovative, and just get your feedback on it. So, things I'm thinking about is, he was one of the first. He did that interactive DVD CD-ROM back in, the early 90s. That thing was really cool. I had a copy, and, you got to try to go into Paisley Park. He did the MPG Music Club with downloads and those tracks. He did a lot of things online, and he was the first. He did the Glam Slam clubs with like simulcasts of performances. So many of these kinds of things, what was your take on them at the time? Did you sort of kind of start to take it for granted, and just talk about him as an innovator in all those different kinds of ways?
Well, I think Prince was always an extraordinary idea guy. Like, he would just think of the most incredible just things that you just wouldn't imagine. I remember when I was kind of like around 2002, 2000 through to 2004 or something like this, I was with Maceo, and I still lived across the street from Prince. So whenever he'd see me at home, like he'd like have me come over or something like. And I remember one day I was just out in the yard, and he saw me, and he came grab me, and I went to the house with him. I was, I just got off the road from being with Maceo. And I remember him telling me, man, you're going to start seeing some stuff on the news. It's going to hit the fan in any minute now. And he just kind of told me, he said, don't say nothing, but it's going to be like this. And he started telling me about how he had did this thing with SoundScan, where he did he started putting the ticket, the record in with the ticket price. And they were like fighting about how they were saying that he can't do it. And he's like, sure I can. You made your own game. I made my own game. Who said you could be the ticket counter? And the person who you did, you created your own game, and so I'm creating my own. So yes, I can say whatever I want to say. So, and he just told me like how all of that stuff, and how all of these different things, when he was going to do stuff like this, and with the internet, like selling the record over the internet, and like, because he would tell me, he said, like, think about it. He says, for me to sell 1 million records by my record label standard, that's a failure. But he said, if we're selling 1 million records and we're getting all of the money, that's more money than I would have got on a mega selling record that if I'd have sold it. He said, think about it, $10 a crack, and when we sell 1 million of them, we get all $10 million. That's more than I would make on a record with Warner's if I had stayed on the, with their situation. So a 1 million selling record, a gold record, that's a platinum record, is a mega hit for me. And by those metrics, you can't say nothing but, dang, that's right. You just got 10 mil because you just cut out the middleman, and you can get it direct to the people. So all you need to do is get 1 million sales and thank you, good night. It's like, bam. So a gold record at that point is, is even like not too shabby. Even Michael Jackson wasn't getting that much money off of record at the time. So I think that was a very innovative thing. I just think that the implementation of it wasn't really worked out, because I would tell him, like, I think you got to have more people for infrastructure to get this stuff out of here, because there's a back order of people waiting for Crystal Ball. And then he made a deal with Best Buy, and the people who had been signed on for like 6 months was like, wait, we've been waiting for 6 months or longer for the record, and then you just did it, and now these people are getting the record now and with some liner notes. So it was like stuff like that that kind of hampered the process. And I remember thinking, like, had it been delivered properly, I think he could have just like changed the game. I think everybody would have followed suit, like Janet and like Madonna, the people like that were like huge at the time, who didn't need, because when you think about what a record label does, well, what do? Well, they have distribution. They have a kind of an internal situation where you got the promotion department and marketing. And and they give you advance money. So that was the biggest reason why you needed a major label, because you needed distribution, you needed all of that other infrastructure in order to let people know you got a record out there. Well, Prince was a big artist already. He had fan base. So was Madonna. So was Janet. And so was Michael. All of those people could have done something like that with their own infrastructure and completely crushed the game back then. But everybody was afraid to. He wasn't afraid to. I think his biggest, failure with that, if you can call it that, was just the fulfillment, getting it out there so that people could actually get it. And I think that was the challenge. But he never lacked for ideas. He always was brilliant when he came up with these different ways of doing things, like I remember when we did 2010 and all of that sort of thing. I mean, it's just like, we're going to put this thing in the paper and do a deal with the newspapers and put $1 million in all of these and get them out there. And I mean, it was just like groundbreaking. It's like, bing, just thought of like all of these incredible ways to like distribute stuff. And I think that's just a testament to how much of an innovator he was, just like thinking up all of these different ideas and different ways to like to do things. And it was so groundbreaking, you know.